name's Scott Milne. I'm 32 years old, 6'2", 145 kilos. I'm from Cumbernauld.
Thanks for coming along today, Scott. So we've got you in today for a wee chat and how you feel things went at Scotland's Strongest Man Qualifier, which was at the weekend there. So there was 5 events. So the first one was the clean and press, wasn't it?
Yep.
And it was into the sandbag load, deadlift, yoke and chain drag, and then Atlas stones. So the first event, the clean and press, traditionally not a great event for you, but you did well. You 3 reps, just narrowly missed it in the 4th one. I've known you for a long time. I know the press has not been great for you, but you weren't far off that 4th one, and you've got 5 months to prep for the final. What's brought this improvement about to your overhead pressing?
I've recently changed coaches. I'm with Tom Hibbert now for Winning Strength. We've been working on a lot of kind of technical stuff with the lift, trying to get the legs in more, just timing the leg drive and things like that. So I think that's all starting to click now. My technique's starting to get a wee bit better. So I think the strength's kind of always been there, but it's just not really translated. So now with Tom helping me, things seem to be clicking better, and it's improving every week. So a bit more work, and hopefully I can turn my week event, which is a press, into a kind of a stronger event.
Absolutely, mate, because some events you can just beast on and get through it with strength and pure technique. A clean and press for reps, you can't really do that. You've got to get the clean right, the press has got to be right, your feet's got to be right, you can't be wasting energy. Probably the first time I've ever seen you walking away from an overhead. Happy?
Aye, relatively, aye. As I said, there wasn't a lot of prep went into this qualifier, to be honest. So I feel had I had a good bit of prep, a good bit of training into that, it would have been a lot better, So 3 reps, nearly 4. Can't complain on the day.
No, mate, no, it was good. Obviously, we don't have the events yet for the final, which is going to be at the SFN Expo in September. We're still waiting on a date on that. But there's going to be an overhead in it. There's always an overhead, whether it's a log, axle, barbell, or, in fact, that's a circus amongst a dumbbell. But definitely, mate, you're looking good. So you've got to be confident moving ahead with that over the next 5 months.
Definitely, it was something that in years gone by I would always drop quite a lot of points in. So I feel if I can keep in with the kind of top 5, 6 in that event, it'll not cost me as many points going forward, and I'll pick up points in the better events.
Talking about better events, a bit of a surprise on the day, going to event number 2, which was the Sandbag Load. Now, I've mentioned this before to Lewis, I don't know if I spoke to yourself about it, but you and Lewis fell into the trap of getting big for the sake of it. In essence, you put on too much fat in comparison to the amount of muscle mass you put on. So I know that was something that you addressed and you got to and you changed it, so you became leaner, stronger and fitter, to the tune that you came second in the Sandbag Load and beat Mikey Wilson.
Well, that was as much a surprise to me as it was to you. As you say, back kind of a couple of years ago, fell into the trap of just trying to eat and get big, and thinking that would translate over to strength, which obviously isn't the case. So it was back at the start of 2020. I got on board with Ellis Fine to sort my nutrition. Because in 2020 when I competed, I was probably at my biggest. I was near on 150 kilos, and looking back on videos, I looked every bit of it. I looked terrible, that was at the same time that I injured my foot that year, and I just knew something had to change, So me and Ellis kind of got together, decided to work on the nutrition side of things, strip everything back, and going into 2021 there, I was actually the lightest I'd ever been, around about 132 kilos, 133 kilos. I competed at UK's last year, and I felt great for it, My static stuff was a wee bit lacking with the body weight being reduced, but my moving stuff improved it tenfold. So obviously stripped it back last year with the focus and the goal to then slowly build it up for this year, without putting unnecessary fat on. And I feel like it's all moving in the right direction. So as I say, I was surprised with how quick my legs moved when I picked up that sandbag, but it's obviously working, you know.
So right now, not only are you leaner and quicker, but you're probably stronger than you've been.
Definitely, yeah. It's the slight effect it took on my static lifts like last year are all starting to creep up again. So they're coming on a par with the moving events. So everything's all starting to kind of work together nicely now.
Well, of course, losing that weight as well. Being heavy and out of breath, it's not going to be great for your recovery and your sleep. Now you're a bit fitter. Are you sleeping better at night?
Luckily, I've always kind of slept like a log, you know what I mean? So sleep's never been an issue for me, but I definitely notice it's helping me recover quicker. I'm able to train, you know, harder sooner, you know what I mean? And it definitely helps with things like that, even just from event to event. I felt as if I could have kept going yesterday at the weekend there. And then on the Sunday, I didn't feel as if I'd done a comp.
Well, there's going to be less pressure on your heart, which obviously means the heart can pump the blood around the body more efficiently with all these nutrients and minerals that the body needs to recover and work efficiently. So it was good to see you move as fast. Unfortunately for you, there was a wee racing snake there on the day. Callum Crozier beat you by about 2 seconds. But I don't think Mikey Wilson's ever been beaten a loading race, never mind by 3 people, because Connor Curran also beat him.
Aye.
So were you expecting that for Connor and Callum?
I knew Connor and Callum were fast, especially Callum. So it was probably good that I was up against Callum, because that kind of pushed me on a wee bit, do you know what I mean? That kind of set the standard, made me probably get the finger out more than I maybe would have. And it was a good confidence booster, as I said, to be able to keep up with Callum, who, you know, I think I was only 2 seconds behind him overall, for him being as quick as he is at 95 kilo. To be able to shift and keep up with him was definitely a confidence booster.
Well, you were head to head with Callum, as you said on that, and you're also head to head with him in the yoke into chain drag, which I've put the video up on my YouTube channel. It was an absolutely brilliant video. So we went from event 2 into the load, and so you came second place, and that, so you're one of the last ones out for the deadlift. Deadlift was 300 kilos for reps. I know 300 kilos isn't a big weight for you to be lifting, but how hard was it today? Did you go out? Did you take your time? Because you had the advantage of seeing people before you, and you got 7 reps on the day, which was joint third, I think. Aye,
it was joint third. I think the 2 guys tied with 9 reps at first, 2 guys tied with 8 reps, and then 2 is tied with 7 reps for third. But again, as you say, I had the benefit of seeing what some of the other guys had done. Like Big Lewis and that, for example, he was out before me, done 6 reps, and I just done 7 and just walked away for that. You know, I probably had another 3 or 4 in me if I had to grind it out, but I felt do that and just kind of walk away fresh for the next event.
No, that's fair enough, my man. It's end of the day, it's still a qualifier. You're looking at being as fresh as you can and coming away injury free for what you've got coming in the future.
That's right.
So your next event, it doesn't matter if you were out first or out last in this. I know a lot of people talk about conserving energy and taking it easy. You're never going to go 100% on a chain and anchor drag. It's your favourite. It gives you a buzz. And of course you want it. I notice people having difficulties with the chain. They can't get their hands around it because it's like 5-inch width just to get your hand around. People try and link their fingers. People try and go hand over hand. Some people seem to be dragging too many chains on the ground. Now there's 4 links on the chain, isn't there?
I believe so, yeah.
You being that wee bit taller, you could probably get the first 2 links up off the ground and keep them high, so you're dragging less on the ground. Why does this suit you? What's the key to your success? Because I don't think you've ever been beaten on a chain drag.
I don't know what it is. The first time I tried it was in the 2015 qualifier. We done Farmer's Walk into a chain drag. And I was one of the only 3 guys or something out of about 30 guys to complete it on the day. You'd like to Tom Stoltman and stuff doing the qualifier as well. So that was quite a good scalp. And I don't know, just it's one of the events I just seem to have a knack to. I don't really train it much, but I just it seems to work really well for me. So it's something that I feel that I can always win going into a comp.
So I suppose in a way it's like a banker for you. So if there was different events that you were maybe not too sure about, you would dedicate more time to training them because you don't really care about the chain and anchor because you know you can absolutely hammer it.
Well, that's it. I hadn't even tried. The last time I'd done the chain drag was UK's last year. I'd never even tried anything, trained anything, get into this. So I know it's there. And obviously being able to train it, I believe I could even improve on how I do it, you know. But as you say, it's one of the events you can't reserve energy for it. You need to go all in, or else the chain just won't move.
It will just stop. You need to get momentum. It's like a truck pull. You've got to keep that momentum going. And once it stops, it's very difficult to get it moving again. You were up, that's the other one, you were up head to head with Callum. So Callum got the better of you in the sandbag loading and you absolutely flew away with the yoke and chain. But after you had your wee moment of glory and everything calmed down, you turned around and seen Callum still had 5 metres to go. You got in his face, encouraged him along to finish it because being 95 kilos body weight and probably the lightest man there, Callum stopped it a couple of times and had to go. So it was good to see you encouraging him along. You train in the same gym, you see each other often, you are both strength shop athletes, you've got quite a bit in common. So it's good to have, like, should we say, stable mates to cheer on and get them going. Big Lewis, we've not spoken about him yet. I know you train with him a lot, you're a close friend with him. You and Lewis are probably very well matched in terms of nutritionists, coaches, training, competitions you do. You're pretty much involved in the same kind of things all the time. He looked absolutely phenomenal on the day because it didn't even look as if he was even trying.
No, if he was anywhere relaxed, they'd be horizontal, you know. It's, you know what Big Lewis is like, so I'm worried when he actually does get fired up for an event one time, you know.
Well, let's say when I spoke to him, he has got that title in his eyes. He's absolutely gunning for it. Hopefully this could be his year. Andy Black is not going to be easy to dethrone, but he is very, very determined. So when you're training with Lewis and he's better at you at some things, how does that inspire you on? Does that help you push to try and get heavier weights?
Definitely. I think as far as training partners go, I think we work perfectly for each other because his 2 best events are his overhead and his stones. They're my 2 weakest events. And obviously his moving events and stuff are slightly less than mine, so I can push him on the moving events and he can push me on the overhead and the stones, so it works perfectly, you know. And I think when that's only going to make the 2 years better in the long run.
Absolutely, mate. And of course, the 2's a nice guy, so there's no egos there. If he's better than you in some things, you accept it and go, mate, and vice versa. You're a pair of very humble guys. It's good to have you in the gym. So you've did 4 events so far. You're into the last event of the day. You've got 120 to 180. How's your energy levels? Are you still feeling all right? Like you said, you did say you've held back on some, but you've just went balls out and the yoke into the chains. How much energy levels have you still got left getting into the stones?
Again, through the nutrition and the body weight that we spoke about earlier, I felt great. I had a wee bit of a go in my bicep actually after the chain drag. I don't know if it's just the way I'd carried it or whatever, but so it was it made me a wee bit apprehensive going into the stones. I had initially just thought to maybe do the 120, 140 and the 160 and leave the 180. But again, stones are one of the things you need to go all in or nothing, you know. If I'd went in half-arsed, I'd probably risk tearing my bicep or something. So I got a wee bit of deep heat on it and just went for it.
Well, I've known you about 10 years, Scott, and 2 things that have always kind of held you back a wee bit in the points is overhead. We've already discussed that. You're looking vastly improved, a lot better than that. In the next 5 months before the final and then ongoing, you're only going to get better. But stones, you've always seemed to train better with stones and you've competed better. Yeah. So the stones were 120, 140, 160 and 180 and you actually completed the stone run. So how did it feel to actually finally complete that stone run?
It was a good confidence booster. As you say, for whatever reason, in years gone by, I seem to always miss the last stone. and you know that would cost me big points. You know, I could be going into like top 5, getting into the last event, and I would end up finishing 7th, 8th, 9th. You know what I mean, with a bad stone run. But as I say, working with Tom and obviously training with Lewis, it's really helped with my stones and that as well. I've actually been one motion in stones, something that I never used to ever do.
That's Lewis said that exact same thing here 2 weeks ago as well.
He did. He commented on it when we were training as well, and he's like, "What's getting to you?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just seem to have got a new wind with it." But actually, it was to my detriment on the day, because I tried to one motion to 120, went in one motion to 140, and I fumbled it a wee bit. By the time I'd loaded that, I looked round and Lewis had finished his stone run.
I know. Obviously, I was there. I was MCing, and I'm on the microphone going, both guys get 120 up quick onto the 140. Lewis gets 140 up. Scott is just, you had that wee fumble, and the time you'd readjusted and picked it up, you looked to her. He's walking away ready to get back to his bed with the 180 already loaded.
Aye, exactly. I know he's phenomenal with the stones. So obviously, if I can chase that and get anywhere close, it'll put me into good points for competitions. You know.
Now, of course, when you're loading that 180, it was just as easy for you to fumble that 140, turn around and see him doing the 180, and get totally demoralised.
Aye.
But you didn't. Whereas in the past, I'm not saying you'd have gave up, because you wouldn't have gave up, but you would have maybe have tried the 160 and fucked it, and tried it and fucked it again, and then tried it, and you're out of energy. You managed to refocus yourself, load up the 140 easily, because it was just a wee slip the first time. Get the 160 where in previous times that 160, 165 has been the top staying, and then you go to the 180, you turned away, you were absolutely delighted, and as I've mentioned, you looked as if you'd hundreds left in the tank yet.
I definitely felt it. And again, when I got to the 180 stone, I'd been famous for kind of lifting it and going to load it too soon, maybe hitting the edge, and then I would have just dropped it, and that would have been it. I'd have gave up on it before in years gone by, or I wouldn't have had it in me. But I just hit the edge, took a wee step back, readjusted it, loaded it, and it felt fine. You know, it was just a couple of wee technique issues. There wasn't any kind of strength issues or anything like that there. So I know it's there, so it's just something to work on going forward.
Good, my man. So we've run over how you went in the event, so we're just going to run through the actual people that qualified. So you've got Andy Black, he's already there, 2 times Scotland's strongest man. So he's got to defend his title, and the 19 that will join him will be Leon Patterson, who's a Hostel gym member. And then there's John McLennan, Neil Anderson, Andrew McWilliams for Hostel, Andy McCulloch, Aidan Robb, Stu Graham, Matthew O'Neill, Graham Lamont, Lewis McLean, Phil Jack, Gavin Bruce, Zaki and Mikey Wilson. That takes us up to 6th place. And then the top 5, Callum Crozier, Scott Milne, Lewis Jack, Connor Curran, and then Chris Beetham. Callum, Scott, Lewis and Connor are all members here at the gym, here at Hostel. So that's 6 guys for Hostel and making the final, which is great news for me and great news for the gym. Who caught your eye at the qualifier?
There was a few new faces that definitely caught my eye. It's good to see, you know, new guys coming through all the time and new guys making the final every year. It's always good. But we spoke about Callum earlier, and me and you know him. We know how good he is and how good he's been at the lighter weight categories throughout the years.
So yourself and Callum were pretty much 2 of the first gym members that joined Hostel.
Aye.
He's been here a long time.
Aye, back when I was a 105.
Aye.
Which feels like forever ago.
Back when Callum was heavier than you.
Exactly. But no, as I say, it's good to see. We obviously know how good he is, and for him to make the step up into the opens and kind of hold his own against the open guys was really good to see. But there's that many guys, you know. You get Big Matt, obviously. He's looking really good.
Aye, Matthew O'Neill.
Aye.
I'd say he didn't even do the deadlift.
Aye, I think he's got a wee bit of an issue with his deadlift, but if he can get that sorted, he's definitely going to be a contender.
He's got a great grip. He's fantastic moving events as well. He's quite consistent up there, but he's still only like 23 or something as well, and he's still young.
Aye, he's a big boy.
He has a big lump. A wee opinion art. He's always a hard one to read because you never know what you're going to get. Zaki is without doubt one of the strongest men that's ever been in Scotland. Is he just so laid back or what? Because he never did the last event. He went away, he'd qualified. But then you get him at a competition, and sometimes he hits everything. Absolutely fantastic. And you just look going, how easy did they make that look? And other times it's as if his head's elsewhere. What is it with Zaki? Is it a mental game? If you get under his skin, do you think you can get to him?
I don't know what it is, because it was Zaki's an anomaly, but easy for me to say. But he's just one of the ones. He's statically, he's just ridiculously strong. It's like he'll pick up anything. Do you know what I mean? But it's just sometimes, as you say, he turns up. Sometimes he doesn't. But I think him and Andy had a bit of a banter on that before last year's final. And it didn't really seem to get to him. Now, obviously, it was third, so he was level on points with Mikey second. But he seemed to do really well, so it's not as if the kind of mind games got him then, you know what I mean?
No,
so it's a hard one.
He's been on the podium a few times. Way back as when the Scottish final was here back in 2015, it was him, it was Luke, Tom, and Zaki. And people thought that by now he would have won Scotland's Strongest Man. I've shouted his name out in the microphone before, and he's sitting with headphones on, and it's a deadlift. You're like, move your arse, mate. And he's just sitting going, oh, is it me? Everybody else is standing there primed, belts on, deadlift suits to go, and Zaki's listening to whatever he's listening to.
I don't know what he listens to in the headphones, but I noticed it on Saturday. It was just headphones, and he's got his headphones on, and he's like to Lewis, tap me in the back when I blow the whistle. I'm like, what? I'm like, just take your headphones off and you'll be able to hear it. So Lewis tapping him in the back when he was ready to go, you know what I mean?
No, like you said, he's an anomaly. I don't think anybody will understand him except himself.
No, but there's no denying how good, how much potential he's got there, do you know what I mean? It's frightening, So
another guy that's been on the circuit, and he for a number of years now, probably about similar kind of time as yourself, and he actually won the qualifier. I believe he's for like Stirling kind of way. Chris Beetham. He's came on leaps and bounds in the last year,
Aye, he's every year he just seems to. He's the last year or two he's come out of nowhere really and just progressed better and better every time. So it's a credit to him how well he's doing, you know.
What about Big Connor? Connor was only half a point behind him now. I think Connor's still quite young too, you know.
I believe so. Aye, Connor was one I was going to mention. He's a big surprise, you know. I think he maybe finishing kind of 10th from about top 10 last year in the final.
He won Best Newcomer last year.
That was right as well, yeah. And to come second in the qualifier the year after, and he's looking brilliant every time you see him. He's looking stronger and stronger. So he'll definitely be one for watching the final.
Now that's obviously I'm going to big the gym up. That's the last 3 years in a row. Connor Curran, the year before that was Andrew McWilliams, and the year before that was Lewis Jack, or it was the other way around. So the last three best newcomers have all came for hostel strength and conditioning, which is great for me and great for the gym. Do you think if Callum Crozier goes in and does well, do you think he'll qualify as a newcomer because he's new to the Opens?
He should, in my opinion. Barring a small miracle, he's my favourite for the best newcomer. Because he's a newcomer, he's been under 90s, under 105, so he is a newcomer as far as...
I suppose we can elaborate on that. He's not just a 90 and a 105. He won the 105s, naturals, and he won the normal 105s. Only guy ever to do both in the same... He's the only guy ever to do both in the same year. Because I think your man, I can't remember his first name, but Yosie's second name, I think he's won both. But Callum did them in the same year. He's also the youngest ever. He beat Lewis McCluckie by a few months. Youngest ever to win the 105s. Used to be a powerlifter as well. He went to Canada and won world gold. He went to South Africa, won Commonwealth gold. 2 Scotland's strongest junior titles. So no, he's not a newcomer. He's got bags of experience. But he's gained away 30, 40 kilos.
And to the Scotland's Strongest Man final, he is a newcomer.
Aye.
I don't know what the credentials are for it, or however they decide it, but as far as I'm concerned, I would say it would be a newcomer and classed as a newcomer.
I tend to agree with you, but I'm not the man that makes the rules, so we'll see how it goes, and maybe, hopefully it would be. It could do well. So we're looking at names that could be potentially up there in that top 10, because I think there's a nucleus of guys that, event depending, you'll not be able to separate. So obviously we've got Andy Black up, he's the reigning champion, but you're looking at Chris Beetham, Connor Curran, Lewis Jack, yourself, Callum Crozier, Mikey Wilson, Zaki, and Stu Graham. That's got the potential to be the greatest final we've ever seen. It could be so tight. Like, if you're looking at a yoke, then obviously Big Stooge is a favourite. If you're looking at overhead pressing, Lewis is a favourite. You're looking at any sort of drag or loading, then yourself's going to be up there. But also with loading, you've got Callum or Mikey. If you're looking for somebody that's all-rounded, Zaki. If Connor and Beefy can continue the form that they showed into the qualifier, it could be the same 6 or 7 people that's the top 6 or 7 in every single event.
Aye, definitely. As you say, it's all event dependent, because you get things like the yoke, a standalone yoke, and Big Stooge will blitz everybody out the water. You add something else into that, whether it be a farmers, a chain drag, do you know what I mean? Make it a medley, then that throws a spanner into the water.
Well, aye, Stooge's grip isn't as good as some other people are, and his fitness is a bit behind others, so he may well be first on the yoke, but if you're 3 metres behind him in a yoke, you're going to run past him with whatever you're carrying. I know it's all very much event dependent, but there's these, there seems to me there's about 7 or 8 guys that are going to be there and are going to be very, very difficult to separate. I think it could come a situation where there's maybe 3 or 4 guys separated by like 2 points. Right. There could be 3rd place and 6th place separated by a very, very fine margin. And that could all be down to that last event. The Atlas Stones as well was known as always the last event.
It could be something as trivial as a rep on the press or a rep in the deadlift, or do you know what I mean? If somebody splits points, you know what I mean, shares points with somebody, that could be the half point that the next guy needs to win it. You know, I think that will be definitely be the tightest final I think we've had since I've started anyway. It's famously just been the looking Stoltman for 1 and 2, the 2 Stoltmans, sorry, and everybody else would fight out for 3rd, but now we've got a real good battle. As you say, 6 or 7 guys could all potentially make the top 3, you know.
Well, you look at it, mate, over the last few years, I think it's fair to say Scotland can claim to be the strongest country in the world right now. We've got Scotland's strongest man. Luke won the Europes last year. I know he get pipped by Novikov this year, but he still came 2nd. We've now had confirmed today on social media that Andy Black is out there as a reservist. Should somebody drop out through injury, that's 3 Scotsmen at world's strongest man, which I don't think's ever been done before. Maybe back in the days of Forbes Cowan and Stuart Murray. I don't know if Jamie Bell ever got to World. Somebody would need to let me know about that. But I don't think there's been 3 Scotsmen at the Worlds ever. And it's not just as if it's 3 Scotsmen. You've got Mikey, who came 2nd last year. He was promised he was going to get a shot at Giants Live, and it didn't really materialise, unfortunately for him. I don't know what reason, but hopefully this year it should. Now that Andy's on the Giants Live circuit, if you've got people like Mikey or Lewis or yourself, if any of you is going and do well in Scotland and go on to a Giants Live, you deserve that chance to be up there in at least the reserve list and moving on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I hope that is something that happens, because you know they might turn around and say, well, with the 2 Stoltmans and Andy, we've already got 3 Scots, we can't have any more. But why not? Do you know what I mean? If we're proving we're the strongest nation, then surely, you know what I mean, we can justify 4 guys.
Well, aye, because it would be totally unfair to Scotland, especially in previous years when you'd Eddie Hall, Lawrence Shalley, Terry Hollands, Graham Hicks, Adam Bishop. You'd 6 or 7 Englishmen. So if Scotland's the top of the tree right now, why the fuck no?
Aye. If you put the top 4 guys in Scotland against the top 4 guys in England or any other nation in Britain, Scotland would, in my opinion, win hands down, you know what I mean?
Oh, so, absolutely.
So you can't go on population or whatever, you need to go on potential, you know what I mean, and who's good, you know what I mean.
I think the only country that would get close to Scotland in a team event would be the USA.
just because
the size, and that they've got a bit more depth. Obviously, they've got Martins, they've got Brian, people like Bobby Thompson and all that, Trey Mitchell the third. So there is guys there that would create a good team. Apart from that, I don't see anybody else getting close to Scotland. So we've discussed Scotland's strongest man qualifier, Scott. And that's not until September at the SFN Expo. The confirmation date, as far as I'm aware, hasn't been nailed on yet. So between now and then, 5 months, what have you got coming up?
Well, 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks this Saturday, I've actually got the final eliminator for the UK's strongest man. That's one of the reasons I was kind of taking it easy in the qualifier as well, just trying to come away injury free, because I've been training hard.
When you say final eliminator, can you explain what exactly you mean? What's the protocol there?
Well, there's basically last year, you usually qualify for UK's the year previous through your regionals, through your Scotland's, England's, Ireland's. And top 3 usually go through then to make for the UK's final. So this final eliminator is for guys that's maybe just missed out for last year from making, for whatever reason, if they were out for injury, if they've maybe just missed out. They're doing a final eliminator for the final 2 spots basically for the UK's lineup this year. So you've got 3 guys for England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales to make up the 12-man kind of eliminator. And this is just basically kind of like the last chance to get to this year's UK's strongest man.
You've been to the final 2, 3 times?
3 times now.
3 times, so you're looking for 4 in a row?
4 in a row, mate. And as I say, past the first year I finished 8th, second year I finished 8th, last year I finished 5th, so it's that natural progression. And I genuinely feel if I can get to the final, there's no reason why I can't podium this year. I feel in a great place.
When you're saying about last year 5th, I know it was fine margins. There wasn't a lot of difference between 5th and 3rd. But last year, you were actually fired up going for that podium. You really thought you had a big chance of getting it. And let's say, I know it's fine margins. On paper, 3rd to 5th, it's 2 places. Actually, the competition, it's fine margins, but gave the points. Were you disappointed last year, and did that serve as a catalyst to push on? Because since that UK's last year, about a month after, that's when I've seen you kicking on and starting to improve. I've said it before, I've known you a long time, probably about 10 years, and right now I think you're the best you've ever been.
I definitely feel it. It's good that other folk are seeing that. It did hurt last year to get so close, but be so far, if you know what I mean. If I finished 5th, I was 2 points away for third place. And it all came down to the last event, actually, in the final, which, believe it or not, was a chain drag. So what had to happen was I had to place 1 place higher. Paul was first and I was second, and he beat me by 2 seconds on the chain drag, you know. So I thought it was written in the stars for me for the last event. I needed the event win, and to finish second, 2 seconds away for the win was a hard one to take. So that hurt, and it kind of drove me on to think, no, I'm going to go for this and really get a good go.
Well, there's no shame in getting beat by Paul. He's been to the World Qualifiers, he's competed in Europe's Strongest Man. He's a very, very accomplished strong man from England. So to be picked by 2 seconds and probably your favourite event, it's a bit of a kick to the balls.
It was, so no, that's how it just kind of gave me that kick up the arse I needed, and I was like, I'm going to really get a good go. So obviously 2 weeks' time was my chance to get into the final this year. Failing that, it's just all about getting to the UK's for next year and really getting a good go down.
And where is the competition in 2 weeks' time?
It's down in Doncaster, the Doncaster Dome.
Right.
So it's actually been held in conjunction with the UK's Strongest Women competition as well. So they're running in parallel. So it'll be a good comp, you know. And as I said, there's about half a dozen previous UK finalists in this eliminator, so it's going to be a really tough competition.
Now, I've seen some names for this. I've not seen some names. I've seen them all for the UK eliminator. A lot of guys I've never heard of. How about you on that one?
Well, as I say, just circumstances and just made a bit of an arse of the qualifier last year, to be quite frank, and managed to fail to qualify, you know, outright. for the UK's this year, so I'm going to need to try and do it the hard way this year and try and get in through the Eliminator.
What I mean in there more specifically is there's names I don't recognise. Is there names you don't recognise and don't know nothing about?
Aye, there is. There's a lot of guys that have come up for Wales, England and that's relatively new, especially in the UK scene. So that probably makes it worse because then you don't know what to expect for the guys. There's a few guys there and you know what they're good at and whatever. But the guys that are unknown, they could be, a bit of a challenge.
That's right to say that there's people come out the woodwork all the time. The sport of strongman, it's boomed in the last 5 years. When I opened this gym 7 years ago, as you well know, because you trained in my backyard and we trained in car parks, main roads, wherever we could to get yokes and truck pulls set up. I then opened hostile. And there was a gap in the market. There was nowhere for us to train. It was Dumfries or nothing. And there's gyms popped up here in Scotland who were a lot more popular. England's obviously got a lot more facilities. But there could be guys like Shane Flowers. He's just come out of nowhere and he's doing absolutely fantastic. There could be a Welshman, an Irishman, an Englishman that you're going to compete against in 2 weeks that you know nothing about. He could be a great guy, but he could be a bloody beast as well.
Exactly. Which, as you say, it's only good for the sport. It's constantly growing it, and just like Scotland as well, it makes you train harder. It makes the level just grows the sport every year. So, it's always good. But I've certainly prepped the best I have for a competition for this one in 2 weeks. So, if I don't make it, it'll no be for lack of trying. Put it that way.
Good man. Right, buddy, we're running a wee bit over with our time, so we're going to push you. I'm going to spring this one on you. I've asked Lewis the last time about his predictions for Scotland's Strongest Man, so we've already did that. What do you feel or think about the Worlds this year? Top three, doesn't need to be in any order. Who are you looking at and why?
Well, again, with the Worlds, it's like the whole strongman scene. There's that many guys, there's potentially about 5 or 6 guys that could all make the podium. Obviously, from my own kind of selfish point of view, I want it to be Tom. He's obviously the Scotsman to win it again. But my top 3 would probably be, in the order, would be Tom, probably Martin Leesus and Novikov. But then you could add in guys. Brian Shaw could make the podium. Luke Stolten's looking great. He could always be a contender for the podium. There's that many guys that could change that. But that would be my top 3 in no particular order.
But when you find the final events, any strongman competition will suit different athletes, event dependent. The events that I've seen, I thought they favoured Kielicowski, but last week he withdrew, said he said he's strong but not quite at the level to compete at Worlds, so he's taking time out to compete next year. But then again, you're looking what events suit what people. And me personally, I think Martins is probably the best all-rounder. He's come back for a long-term injury, did 2 competitions and he won them by quite a margin. He was untouchable. Novikov has just won Europe's. He's already a World's Strongest Man winner. Tom chose not to do Europe's to concentrate on the Worlds. Is that tactics that's going to be proved to be fruitful for him? Hopefully. And let's not forget, look, although he didn't redefend his Europe's title, last year he won Europe's. He won the Giants Live Tour final and he just came second at Europe's. Brian Shaw, you can never rule him out. That's 5 guys for 3 places.
Definitely, and you never know, there could be somebody comes for left field and steals points in an event, and then that just puts an R-span on there.
Absolutely. Last year, it was at Maxime Boudreau that hit the podium last year. Nobody seen that coming, and I don't think he's exactly set the heather on fire since.
No.
You see him in comps, and his name's not been up the top there. Like I say, when the event's right for him, is JF Caron going to come through? He's always been up there, but he's never pushed onto that big title. People you can't rule out. Is Jerry Pritchett back this year? He wasn't there last year, I don't know, but obviously Jerry's very good statically, especially in the deadlift. Yeah, I would agree with you. It would be nice if the title came back to Scotland. Tom being, of course, the first Scots whenever to win the title. It would be great to see you look in the podium as well. But there's always this talk about Tom. Why can't Luke win it?
There's no reason, you know. I've been speaking to Luke personally, you know, and he's more determined than ever, you know. He just seems to keep getting better and better. So there's absolutely no reason, and I think it's massively event dependent. I think it really just, if the events just fall nicely, and you know, it could be indies.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. I think the overhead press, Iron Bibby and Luke Stoltman, they're the best two in the world. It's good points. There's always going to be a press in the final. But then again, you're looking at consistency, and I've just mentioned it with Martin's winning 2 comps. He's consistent through everything. Novikov, I don't think Novikov's quite as consistent as Martin's. But he's an ex-world strongest man. He's the current Europe strongest man. Brian Shaw got 2nd last year. Can you write him off?
No, really, no.
Never.
He keeps saying every year, he's done, but he keeps coming back. And he's there or thereabouts. So that'll be really close, I think, this year.
Right, that wraps us up for the day. So, Scott Milne, thank you very much, my friend, for coming in and giving us your thoughts on the aftermath of the qualifier and what you've got coming up in the future. Best of luck to you with all the comps you've got, and we'll catch up with you again soon, mate. Thank you.
Cheers.